Hi everyone, hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Riya. I currently work as a software engineer at Microsoft, and today we're going to be talking about another very interesting topic. But before that, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss out on any important updates. So let's quickly get started now. Okay, so today we're actually going to talk about tech conferences. I recently attended the Open Source Summit that happened in Spain, and I had some really good insights attending conferences, especially after the COVID, which I wanted to discuss with all of you. I personally feel that these conferences are actually a great way to meet some great people, industry leaders, working professionals who are all working on some common problems or some common tech stack. And it's a great opportunity to, see what's happening out there outside, not just, your organization, but outside your country as well. So in this video, first we'll take a quick introduction about what are tech conferences and what are the actual benefits of attending tech conferences. Then we will move on to the part where we will discuss in detail what was my experience attending Open Source Summit, what all did I learn. I was actually attending this conference as a speaker, so I was quite nervous also initially a little bit about, and I took quite some time to prepare my talk as well. So we will talk about all that experience also in this video. Overall, tech conferences are quite popular for their extensive lineup of speakers, a lot of working professionals who are coming and talking about something great which is happening in the field right now. So I feel like it's a good platform to do some knowledge sharing, to do some networking, collaboration, build some really great connections. And these are the reasons which mostly motivates me to attend tech conferences as well. I'm actually quite a seasoned speaker. This was actually my third time speaking at the Open Source Summit. So I was quite happy to actually get selected again this time. And every time Open Source Summit actually happens thrice a year. It depends on the regions. One time it's happening in the American region, then it's happening in the EU region, and then it happens in the Asia Pacific region as well. The conferences is usually panned across all these three regions, right? And you can attend these conferences anytime or anywhere that you want. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll actually start from the very start. So the Open Source Summit was actually happening on the 19th, 20th and the 21st of September in Spain. In Spain, it was specifically happening in Bilbao, and the registration process basically starts 2 months, and the process to actually apply for a speaker actually starts way earlier than that as well. I think it starts approximately around 4 months earlier to the date of the conference, and you can apply to be a speaker. You can simply go to their website. There is an option to apply to be a speaker or a call for proposals option, where there is a list of options of the topics that they are interested for people to speak in. You could choose one of those topics, and then you could just simply go ahead and send in your application. It's usually suggested to give at least 2 to 3 applications, right? Just in case there are multiple options for the committee to choose from. And if your talk basically gets selected, you are mostly informed about 2 to 2.5 months prior to the date of the conference. So this time I actually submitted 3 talks. One talk basically got declined. One talk was basically waitlisted, which means that if someone else basically drops out of their talk, then my talk will basically be given the opportunity to be considered. And my third talk basically got selected, and I was speaking about Linux and backup recovery strategies in Linux systems. So now I think I have worked quite a bit with Linux systems earlier in my college and a little bit in my professional cycle also. So that's why I wanted to talk about backup and recovery strategies. I was mostly focusing in this talk on the open source tools which are used for backup and recovery, which is Amanda and Bakula. And I basically gave an entire walkthrough of how you can use these tools, how multiple enterprise organizations can basically use these tools for doing backup and recovery, which is quite crucial when you're working with large scale systems and when you have a lot of data. So coming back to the point of the part of where my talk basically got selected 2.5 months back. So I basically got the acceptance proposal, I think acceptance in about July end or August first week you can consider. And then there is also the option to apply for travel funding. Now, to apply for travel funding, there's a separate option over there where you could actually just apply for a funding where you just want the conference pass as a complimentary, or you could also apply for a travel funding where you would want your accommodation or your travel or your visa, anything which you are not able to, pay for yourself, you could actually apply for as well. Okay, speakers also can apply for those travel funding. By default, travel funding is not given to any of the speakers who are coming at the conference. Only a complimentary pass is given. So I also actually applied for the travel funding as well, and my travel funding got approved, right? When you're applying for the travel funding, you yourself have to set the budget that this is what I would need for the flights, this is what I would need for the accommodation and for the ground transportation. I actually started the visa process also. Surprisingly, my visa actually came like 12 hours, I think, before my flight was. So it was a quite scary experience in itself, which we will discuss sometime in another video. But yeah, that's what exactly happened. And I ended up attending the conference. It was approximately a 15-hour flight from New Delhi to Bilbao that it actually took me to reach over there. And I reached on 18th, and on 19th, on 20, and on 21, I basically attended the conference. My talk in itself was on 20th, but I attended all the 3 days. Basically because the first 2 days are very crucial, where you have a lot of keynote speakers coming in, a lot of big, I would say, working professionals and, CTOs and CEOs from big companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google were coming in. I think Google was one of the biggest sponsors also for the. Talking about day one, I actually reached the conference quite on time. I reached exactly at 9 a.m. and I attended the keynote session over there. And then I moved on to the sponsor showcase. So there's breakfast and coffee also happening parallelly, which you can take. And then I eventually went to the sponsor showcase area. I was actually surprised to see so many sponsors because, after COVID, I was not expecting a lot of sponsors to be in the Open Source Summit. But I know that Open Source Summit is actually a very big platform for a lot of companies who are working in open source. So I think that's why it eventually did work out this time also, and the entire showcase area was absolutely huge. I attended the conference in 2019 also. It was happening in Lyon, France, and there also the entire sponsor showcase area was huge, and this time also it happened the same. And I actually did meet a bunch of familiar people also, which I saw in 2019 as well, so that was very good. A lot of sponsors were common, so that's how I know that a bunch of people I knew earlier attended the same conferences again as well. And then I did do some, booth crawling for about 1.5 hours. And then I attended a series of 3 sessions, which were happening around JavaScript, OpenAI, right, and a bunch of other things as well. And then I went ahead to grab some lunch, and I think I concluded my day about at 4:30 p.m. There are usually some networking events happening parallelly also, which you can also attend. These are sort of like co-located events, which are happening sort of around the venue only. So if you pay for those events, you sort of get exclusive access to a bunch of other activities also, which are happening around the campus. Now for day 2, actually, I didn't do a lot of, I would say, networking or either talking or, attending some talks as well, because this was the day actually my talk was happening. So it was around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and I was taking the entire morning to just prepare and sort of, surface out the venue or the room where I was basically speaking and, just going through some talking points again. And I think my talk happened around 3 p.m. and it was like, it went very smooth, way beyond my expectations. Usually I am having some issues either with my charger or my adapter, something or the other doesn't turn out well, but this time the talk went entirely smooth. I got some really good feedback after the talk as well. A bunch of people came and talked to me about, how my talk was relevant over there, and how they are also looking for some really good options for backup and recovery strategies also. And yeah, that's how I think the entire day went. I grabbed some lunch and then I went on to explore the city as well. Bilbao is comparatively a very small city, but it does has that Europe charm as well. So that's how my day concluded in day 2 in Bilbao. Now for day 3, I was actually quite relieved that my talk has actually ended. Now I could fully focus on attending a lot of talks. I did attend 3-4 talks as well, which I was finding very relevant to what I was working on. And then I went on to do some booth crawling again. This time I got a lot of freebies. I got some t-shirts, I got some pens, notebooks, I got some really good adapters, chargers, I got a power bank as well. So I was really happy, and I'm still a kid when it comes to, do some booth crawling and talking to a bunch of people as well. Now in the evening, there was actually sort of like a attendees events, or you could say a dinner sort of something that was happening. It was happening in an entire stadium, which was quite huge, and to be honest, very expected of what Open Source Summit committee to do as well. So it was happening in an entire stadium. There were a bunch of, you could just talk to a lot of attendees, grab some drinks, grab some food, and you could take a tour of the stadium as well. That was a very famous stadium in Bilbao, and that's where they arranged in the evening, they sort of arranged a dinner or sort of like a snack, something for all the attendees. Yeah, that's it. That's how my 3 days went at the conference, and I didn't realize how quickly these 3 days went by. A few important takeaways from this conference specifically that I attended in 2023 was, first, that Open Source Summit is always grand as always, and they were having a lot of opportunities to even apply also. I feel like tech conferences are a great way to grab some really good job opportunities as well. Since Open Source Summit and open source is all about, working remotely and, being able to contribute from a location and, working with a bunch of people from all over the world. I did see there were a bunch of hirings also happening at the conference, which is great if you're looking to, looking for a job change as well. Secondly, If you're someone who's looking for to increase your network of people, talk to a bunch of new people, and if you're looking to expand your knowledge on a current tech stack or on a current technology that you're working for, I feel like the lineup this time was absolutely great. A lot of good talks were really happening, and it was a very collaborative environment, and a lot of knowledge sharing was happening at all time. Now, the third and the very important point: tech conferences are actually a very great platform which gives you a lot of exposure and a lot of access to industry leaders. Trust me, it takes a lot of courage to stand on that stage, showcase your work, take follow-up questions, and then prove that you're something done relevant for the industry. All in all, I personally love attending tech conferences. I have attended a lot of other tech conferences as well. Let me know in the comment section if you would like me to talk about those conferences as well, and I would love to make videos on that as well. But till then, thank you for watching this video if you've come this far, and don't forget to subscribe as well. I will definitely see you in the next video very soon. Bye.